Hi everybody, Peter Turn here. Welcome to our weekly podcast. This week I've got Jonny Biggins joining us. Jonny's background is storytelling. Really excited about today's session. It's quite a strong theme in terms of where everyone's going in terms of getting their message out there for their brands. So welcome, Jonny. Do you want to give a very quick overview of yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Excited to be here as well, Peter. Yeah, so I've kind of worked in creative industries for the last 30 years, each one kind of centered around storytelling in a different way. Firstly, traditional marketing and advertising as a copywriter and creative director, got to travel the globe. And then in personalized storytelling and a direct to consumer business, that made personalized books. And now using AI to see how that can help with an enhanced storytelling for consumers.
Okay, thank you for that. So why is brand storytelling so important, and how are brands getting it wrong at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, in Sapiens, the book, I think that's what, for me, really kind of solidified how important it is to humans, storytelling. Like, we wouldn't be here today at the top of the food chain had we not had this ability to tell stories and build groups and tribes bigger than 50 people. And when we think about nations, when we talk about political ideas or even religions, it's all just stories, that inspire people and people believe in. So when it comes to brands, it shouldn't really be any different. And brands should have stories around them to inspire and create thriving communities. What they get wrong is the story makeup. So stories should be made up of a hero, a transformation, a villain in there, and then this kind of desired outcome. And what brands tend to do is put themselves or their products as the hero. And that's where they get it wrong. So the hero should always be the customer, and the brand plays the role more of a guide or an enabler for the customer to go through their transformation, and get their desired outcome. And so many brands get it wrong, and then they wonder why their advertising or their communication is not really having much of an effect.
Yeah, I was just watching the LinkedIn. I was on LinkedIn and I was watching the Apple iPod using it for hearing advert, and it was around a father or family at Christmas time, and the father was struggling to hear, but he put on the iPods. It was just all about the story. It was just amazing.
And that's, really, you can see the emotion attached to that and how many people could basically benefit from that. And it's the enabler. There's a brilliant 2 ads that are in the news at the moment. Both are car ads. You've got Jaguar's rebrand, which is these futuristic models that says kind of don't copy, and it's full of kind of vibrant colors. But there's nothing really more to it besides just being kind of different. There's no kind of emotional attachment to it. And then Volvo have produced this 3-minute 45 piece of film about a father becoming a father and all his worries and his dreams and his hopes for his daughter. And it's unfiltered, it's kind of raw, it's brilliantly acted, it's real. And the Volvo just plays a very nice role in enabling this outcome of becoming a father. I recommend anyone who hasn't seen it to watch both of these ads, because they're both viral. One is just being mocked, so it's viral, and it's kind of daring. It's not a bad thing. And the other one, people are talking about their own experiences as parents, as fathers, as mothers, their own fears, and you can really get the feeling how that is inspiring a community with something authentic. And the car is not the hero there, but it is a very important part of those dreams coming true. So it's a very good example at the moment of how to get it wrong and how to get it right.
And Jonny, you set up a personalized book business. It was a startup. So can you just explain that journey and what did you what are the key learnings from that?
Yeah, so after working kind of around the world in advertising, I became kind of disillusioned at some stage, let's say, and also talked about setting up kind of businesses and thought, right, now's the time to do it. So the Book of Everyone is this 50-page book that celebrates, you can personalize it, it can celebrate anyone in your life. And we didn't really kind of necessarily approach it as a business to start with, a bit more of a kind of art project, but it became a business quite quickly as some investors said, look, this could be great. And we were quite naive into it as well, but it was a very creative product. The founders were all creatives. And it grew fast, during the kind of 2015 to 2017, when you could grow D2C brands on Facebook and Google, and it was reasonably cheap. And I think we went up to about 3,500 books a day from zero, and it was like super exciting. And then that kind of, I call it now, the heroine of Facebook advertising, where you get that return the next day. It seemed to sort of disappear. The algorithms changed, privacy came in, and those margins got shortened. And then we hit a very kind of hard spell of, growth slowing down and almost being reduced. We had to think about reducing the team and then reduce the team, and that was incredibly difficult. As many people have been through this before as CEOs, you find out more about yourself, during the hard times than the good times. So, but what we always continue to do is the brand, the Book of Everyone, was built on great stories. We did PR campaigns as well as the Facebook campaigns. In the end, those stories built the brand. So when things got tough on Facebook and we had to turn things down, we still had plenty of organic traffic coming in and buying books. We had a huge audience across the world of customers who talked about us. So it was a real safety net, I think, for when those channels stop working, and they will stop working. Your product market fits, is great one day, then not so great the next day. So you need those brands and those stories, to keep people coming in, and being inspired by what you're doing.
Brilliant. And then the Book of Everyone was you sold the Book of Everyone, and you worked for the Corin company. How did you find that in terms of going from the founder, the entrepreneur, to maybe being a subset or inside a separate business?
Yeah, I mean, I think because the sale took quite a while, and it was quite a hard time because there weren't many big book companies that would buy these smaller companies like ourselves, and many of companies like ourselves were going out of business. I'd kind of gone, right, as long as we can get the sale, as long as all the products can live on, I'm going to be reasonably happy, and the rest is just bonus. So when it came to it, I was kind of then prepared. We got the acquisition out of the way. Certainly wasn't where I wanted it, but I still got this. Okay, we're going to live on with these products that so many people have put so much work into. So it was very different. The Book of Everyone, we had a team of 30, and every other person was from a different nation. They had this incredible kind of cultural mix. People became really good friends. We had marriages within it. And then working for the other company on one side it was much bigger. It could never have that kind of cultural feeling, but also they were incredibly successful, and like 10, 15 times bigger than us. So for me, as an entrepreneur who'd been through some pretty hard times, I was just super interested to go, right, what are they doing? Where are the differences? And it was very interesting then coming together with this other culture. We got to stay in Barcelona, even though it was a British company, so that was good. So we were kind of traveling over and learned a lot about another side of the business that perhaps we were weaker with. We were very strong in one area, which was the storytelling and the branding, and not so strong in a product pipeline, getting a lot of products out, and then these digital marketing channels. So it didn't have the family feeling, but that's not ultimately the most important thing in business.
No, it's not actually. I mean, I've done 2 ventures, and the first venture, we had to lay off staff. It was tough. You start with people, you go on a journey, you haven't quite made it. Eventually, the business was successful with a sale, but it is tough. Where you have to go through, you hit that first brick wall, and you have to start laying people off. You're now, from what I understand, you're now using AI in terms of storytelling. And I guess the key question is, for example, how can I use AI as a means for storytelling and creating those digital stories?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a huge debate at the moment around AI and replacing creativity. And I'm certainly on the other side of the debate going, it's not. Yeah, you need to be able to, it's just another tool that we have. And if you can embrace those tools, yeah, you will be more creative and have outcomes than those who don't. So it's very good at some things. So it's not so good at others. So you have to embrace things it's good at, which is getting organized, researching, doing a whole lot of the kind of legwork that, as a creative, you need all those things to start with, all that research, and then you can start putting the pieces together in a different way and creating something great. So I think that those tools then save you a lot of time in certain areas, and then you can basically put them together in some, great ways. So, for example, what we're doing is looking at your digital photo and video libraries. So we take about 5 billion photos every single day. We're using our mobile phones like machine guns, shooting everything. And what happens is every photo and video actually becomes kind of devalued as a result, compared to the old days when you were shooting on film and you had 12 photos. Yeah, and they were put in an album and they were cherished and they were passed down generation to generation. So we feel that, I've got 25,000 photos on my phone. Yeah, how can we craft that into something that has real value? And I think, you see Apple and you see, they do these slideshows, but they're not real stories, with, narratives. So that's kind of, we want to use AI to organize this mountain, and then use some creativity, to make that into beautiful little miniature movies. But I think these tools that are available, anyone can become more creative. Or I think everyone's creative. Everyone can use these to their creative side. I've never coded before. Anyone can get on Cursor and talk to Cursor and create a browser extension in a few minutes. It's absolutely brilliant. It will never be as good as a coder, but it will at least get your kind of ideas and you can see what it's like. And for me, that's kind of, super exciting. And you can also ask it, ChatGPT, you could ask it about story building, you can ask it about your brand and get the basics there. And then go, right, here's some ideas that I could perhaps use in my communication going forward. You might not know who your villain is, and it'll be able to come up with some ideas, from your brand, who your villain might be, or what is the real fundamental human need behind what your product does. And there's not many of them. When if you look at Hollywood, Pixar, great authors and stories, it's about, there's love, there's individuality, there's that transformation we all want, and the avoidance of pain is another one. And it's about finding your brand and where those things kind of slot in. What can you leverage to authentically get a community inspired around what you're doing or around your product?
Yes, it's an interesting conversation so if I look at my business, it's a B2B. So, and I certainly picked up on your previous comments around the villain. So I've been trying to work out who the villain is, but and I finally resolved that in terms of, the villain could be what goes wrong if you don't transform your business.
Absolutely. It's not a typical Hollywood villain there, but there is what happens if you don't transform. What happens if you don't become more of an individual? What happens if you don't avoid pain? These things, then that kind of becomes the villain, which is the counter to your desired outcome, where you want to go. I remember at the Book of Everyone, one of our campaigns was called Humble Heroes. And it was a time when bronze statues, there was a lot of controversy raging about these generals and politicians who are corrupt, generals who are in the slave trade, and they were trying to pull them down. And our thought there was, okay, we already have a villain. Okay, what happens if we flip the narrative and created a humble hero? Yeah, and so a humble hero got a bronze statue. And we reached out to 200 communities across the UK and got them to vote. Yeah, who is their humble hero? We're going to make a little bronze statue, yeah, dedicated to them. And it was amazing how, the communities got together around the Book of Everyone brand. We're just enabling this. And eventually, and to this day, Linda, the lollipop lady from Hackney, yeah, has her little bronze statue in the park. And it was just a lovely legacy, yeah, and kind of community enabler, yeah, that we did. And the other great thing about this from a brand point of view is if you create a lovely story, the papers will pick it up as well, and you'll get a lot of free PR from those stories. And that always kind of happened that, we always went back to this storytelling when things got hard, yeah, in performance marketing. You go, right, this is a way of, spreading the word if the story is good in a very efficient manner. And we learned a lot of tricks on kind of how to do that as well.
Yeah, and so how can you help brands tell their story? And is it a process or the frameworks?
I mean, it's about understanding those basic parts of the story. So it's, we have to sort of dive into their audiences, yeah, find out what they really want. Yeah, what are their fundamental needs that your brand can then be a part of enabling? And it's about kind of brainstorming then who the villain might be. This makes the story interesting, and so it can be told. Yeah, and ultimately, yeah, what do they want? And then you've got to find that role of the brand that very authentically sits in that storytelling framework, is able to slay that villain in some way, yeah, and also authentically can help that audience achieve where they want to go with that transformation. And a lot of it's it's just about being as real and authentic as possible within that story, but making it interesting, because there's a lot of stories out there. There's a lot of brands making a lot of noise, and the only way really to be heard is to create something that connects emotionally. So great brands are great with empathy. Yeah, they can really see and be in the shoes of their customers and know what it feels like. So yeah, that's the kind of process. It's not too scientific, to be honest, but what you end up is something that you want to tell someone else, and that's the trick of it.
It's interesting because I deliberately target the best CFOs in the marketplace. We've both got a joint friend, Kevin, he's 73 acquisitions, 35 exits, raised over $1 billion, and he's just hyper good. And I always thought the process was like, let's talk about everything that he's done and his technical skill sets, etc. But actually, that's not really what the market wants to hear, because there's a story in there, but the story's got to be relatable to, what is my pain? What's my villain? And my villain might be, I want to do for example, a 30 million fundraise, but actually that's not even probably the villain. The villain is what happens if I get that wrong, or what happens if the terms aren't right.
What happens to that transformation, that your hopes and dreams where you would go with your company, with yourself, with your team, if that goes wrong, and how can whatever that organization helping you get that fundraise be that enabler, so you are the hero of that transformational journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some food for thought there for me in terms of our next generation of our marketing and our branding out in the marketplace.
Yeah, and you might not automatically think a CFO is this this enabler and this absolutely kind of key part of that story, but they are. And I think being able to talk about that in this framework, makes everyone feel kind of creative and important in the overall story, of where that hero is going on their journey.
Absolutely. I mean, also, if you talk about CFO looking to do assisting a business and doing some acquisition, for me, it's not about the due diligence. It's not about the numbers. It's about the why.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
And absolutely, and a good CFO like Kevin, he drills down into what are the motivations, and what are the real motivations of that founding team, whether they're raising money, they're selling, or what are those motivations, and he'll know from those motivations, where this story lies. And as he's seen many endings, he can almost then predict the ending depending on those motivations, whether that's going to go well or it's not going to go well. And I know he does his best to change those storylines to make sure there's a good outcome at the end of the game. Even if it's not the absolute desired outcome, it's the best outcome for them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always asked the top CFOs, what are the three most important things as you, in terms of your skill set and your ability, and where you add value. And one of those is that they all say it's about making sure that they're aligned and they can define the narrative or the story.
Is everyone on the same page? That's what they used to say. But there's more. It's more complex than that. When we put this storytelling narrative, is this story right for everyone? Do we all agree on these different parts in this journey and this transformation? That's better than let's go. Do we agree on something? Do we all agree on this? This is where we're going. So I think that digs a lot deeper into the emotions of the different people involved, and you probably get a more interesting discussion and a better result by doing
absolutely. That. Jonny, thank you very much for this for the podcast. I really enjoyed the thoughts and insights, especially around the storytelling. And I wish you all the best in your new venture, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.